Washington Irving was born on April 3rd, 1783. He was the last of 11 children and was born into a well-off home with religious parents. Unlike his older brothers, Irving did not attend college, but still studied law in his off time. Irving's first job was when he wrote satirical essays that were printed in a newspaper, the Morning Chronicle. He did this from 1802 to 1803. After that, he took an extended trip to Europe from 1804 to 1806. When returning home, he took the bar exam, and due to his past study of law, he was barely able to pass and became a lawyer. While being a lawyer, he had a side project that he worked on from 1807 to 1808. It was a collection of essays filled with satire of local issues and commentary on politics of the time. It was called Salmagundi. He collaborated on this with his older brother, William, and friend, James K. Paulding. His next major work was History of New York from the Beginnings of the World to the End of the Dutch Dynasty, which was written in 1809, a work that started to get his name recognized amongst other writers. Sadly, in 1808, Irving's fiancée, Matilda Hoffman, died of tuberculosis before they could ever get married, and Irving never married after that. After his devastating loss, Irving's career lessened as he was running out of ideas and started working for the Analytic magazine, before briefly serving in the military during the War of 1812. After leaving the military, he returned to England in 1815 to help with the failing family business. After not being able to save it, Irving started writing a collection of stories, later to be known as the Sketchbook of Geoffrey Cran. There were multiple iterations of this book, but the final one was published in 1820. This book contained two of Irving's most well-known stories that made him famous in both England and the United States. These were Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Rip Van Winkle was about a man who loved traversing the mountainside, and one day lays under a tree and falls asleep for 20 years. He wakes up and finds America independent, his wife dead, and his daughter married. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was about a superstitious school teacher who was haunted by the visage of a ghostly man who was devoid of a head that rode around horseback. After receiving an invitation from the U.S. Minister of Spain, he moved to Madrid in 1826. From there, he went on to write many works, most about traveling or some sort of adventure. In 1829, he was appointed the Secretary of the U.S. Legation of London and left the job in 1832 and returned to the U.S. Upon returning, he wrote books about the prairies and fur traders. Irving made one final trip to Spain from 1842 to 1846 and returned to his estate in New York, Sunnyside. This was a common meeting place for writers and artists of the time. During his time there, he focused mainly on historical and biographical works, including his 5-volume series on the life of George Washington. Irving sadly passed away in his estate on November 28, 1859.